Hey, everybody, welcome back to Get to Know, the podcast that goes ahead and looks into following your passions, the ones that God gave you, into careers, lifestyles, and a whole lot more. And I am Captain Mike, and I'm so excited to be here today. I have a very special guest with me today. I know I say that a lot, but I'm telling you, this one is special, one I've been trying to get for a while, friend from way back. And imagine being a jet setter for your job going all the way from LA to New York to Brazil. Well, that's what she does. The busiest woman I've ever met. Today, we're going to get to know Thais Eliasen. That's right. It's Thais from TPR. I am so excited to have you here. It's been a while, but welcome back to the East Coast again, virtually.
Thank you. Thank you, Captain Mike. It's my honor to be here with you.
Well, I got to start before we get into your story, which in a field that I love. I got to tell you something I have never told you before. A fun story of how you were the reason for the most backhanded compliment I've ever received in my life.
Okay.
So this was probably about 8 years ago, Christmas. We were both in Massachusetts working, and with the Salvation Army, and I held my first real Christmas kickoff fundraiser event in a very small town. And a mutual friend of ours, who will remain nameless, who worked in community relations there. I called up to tell the success of the event. We raised over $5,000 with only spending like 250, and when I told him that, he went, "Man, that is that's great." He was extremely tired when he said this. He goes, "Man, I can't. Thais did about the same net, and she's way prettier than you." And I said, "Well, yeah, of course." So the best the best backhanded compliment. But I'm so glad you're on here. I get to tell you to your face that from afar, I've sat under the learning tree of Thais from our time working together and just picking her brain to seeing from afar you start of your own company in public relations. And I want to, before we kind of get into everything, you want to tell everybody what you do as the CEO of TPT, and where you are and all of that great stuff.
Yes. So I moved from the East Coast to the West Coast in 2016, and I have been here since. I started TPR in November of 2018. So we just celebrated 6 years last year. And we have been so blessed to work with some amazing people that have truly impacted our lives. So it has always been our joy and honor to storytell for them, to help them further either their personal brands or their corporations. And so we're here in Redondo Beach, California, which is in the LA County region. And I have, as of 3 years, we have a physical office, even though we have clients and we travel everywhere, as you've mentioned. This is kind of like our home base globally, where it's just so fun to be at the office and work together with my people. I say that they're my life group. We truly do life together. It's been amazing. Not easy all the time, and we can talk more about that.
I'm sure. I'm sure. I said before we got on, I'm just so proud of everything you've done in a very short amount of time. Starting a new business and really taking off the way you had. Now, we've talked about this before. I have a love of public relations. I have a love of community relations, and God, I feel, has started to just recently point that out to me. And the one thing that I can really compare it to, and when I tell other people about it, is that when you're dealing in public relations, you're a storyteller, but you're telling other people's story. You're telling other organizations' story. So My question to you is when did you begin to realize that you have a passion for telling the story of people's lives and of getting the word out there?
Well, I have been very blessed that I have grown up in a home where my father has always had a vein for PR, and my mom is a journalist.
Mhm.
And they have always done that to story tell the story of the Salvation Army. So they have been officers my whole life. When I was born, they were already Salvation Army officers, and they actually retired this year in November. So it's been a long life
Congratulations to them. Yeah.
ministry. Yeah. And so I have been to countless fundraising events, and it would always spark my curiosity when someone went up there to tell a truly transformative story. And I saw the power of storytelling and what it did to whole communities. And so I think it might be something in the blood, but also, growing up by their side, just watching them do their thing with so much class and so much heart. I really took a liking to it.
Yeah, it's funny when people think of PR and they think of fundraising, they think of all of that kind of stuff, but it's people,
Yeah.
and getting to know people. So how did the journey begin to where you are now? How did this moment where you went, I'm going to go out and tell other people's story?
I had two beautiful corporate jobs here in LA. One was with Paul Mitchell Systems, which is one of the leading hair care brands in the world. The other one was Sunrider International. They are an amazing health and wellness product company, both global, and I work in PR with them. After I was in Sunrider for a little while, I had, that corporate career where you start in a position, then you grow and you get a different position, and then you grow, and then there's really nowhere else I could have really gone.
Mhm.
Some of the new positions had just been filled, and I had to make a decision if I would just venture out and do it and do the entrepreneurship thing. I had already started consulting before I left that corporation with the blessing of my boss. She was always and still is very supportive of me. And after I did consulting for about 6 months, I knew that I could do it. And it was what I kept encouraging my clients to do. So I decided to take my own advice, which was not really easy. It was a risk.
Yeah.
But I am known for being a risk taker. So it was exciting more than terrifying to me. And you know like closing that one door in a sense of leaving the corporate world to focus on my own business, I think was the right step that I had to take in order to make this really truly be what it is today. I think if I had split 50-50, I could have never given my 100% to both. So I did what I had to do.
Yeah. And I'll add on that, we saw it in the video. You're a mom. And so, you're to many beautiful kids that I can't believe how big they are. But yeah, taking a step out is extremely fearful in that. Could you maybe expound a little bit on just that concept of, a lot of people see the end result and they see Thais at the racetrack in Vegas, or they see Thais in Brazil going back to see family and all over. But that's stepping out in faith and to pursue the purpose that God put on your heart. Can you talk a little bit about that and the struggle and how hard it was to overcome that?
Yeah. When a long time ago, I was working in a corporate job, and someone asked me if I wanted to be the president of that company. And I said, I am very ambitious. I have always been, but it was not something that I had thought about because I think without really, like, kind of like by default, my posture has always been God has given me a skill set and some talent. And as I mature and grow older, He's refining me as a human, as well as all of my talents and what I have to give. So by default, I always thought I am to do my very best where I am because that's the opportunity that's been given to me. And then as I do my best and seek for excellence and not really perfection, but seek to give my all, then if it's meant to be, other opportunities will come my way. So it wasn't like I was in a position looking at what's ahead, or what's the next rank, or what's the next responsibility, or what's the next promotion. It truly has never even once crossed my mind. I didn't think before, I want to be my own boss. I want to be the boss. I want never. It was always, I'm going to do my very best here. It's almost like you just don't fit there anymore once you know it's time for the next thing. And
Absolutely.
then naturally, I kind of like made the decisions and took the steps there. And I think that I have been a block or two or three or 10. I have been in deep valleys where I have always chosen the Lord. And my faith from a young age, when I accepted Christ into my life when I was 10, even though I grew up in a Christian home, it was really when I was 10 that I made the decision to walk with Jesus. I never once looked back. Now, have I made mistakes? Yes. Am I, susceptible to failure? Yes, I'm a human being, right?
Right.
I've never chosen to walk out, away from Jesus. And I think that the strength that I have needed when my faith was tested or when things were difficult, I had that strength from the Lord. And I know it sounds so beautiful to say, but I think that most people that look at my life now from the outside, or look at any person that's been successful or looks like they're successful, they don't imagine the struggle. It's
Right.
it, and I'm not just a mother. I am a mother to 4 children.
Right.
It's a bunch.
Right.
And as we navigate through life, I try my very best to always make the point that the 4 children that I have are the biggest realization of my biggest dream. My dream from when I was 7, 6 was to be a mom. So when I look at them still to this day, I think, gosh, they are my dream come true. And then everything else, business wise, comes after them. That doesn't mean that sometimes life gets so busy that the time I have with them, I have to be sure that it's really quality time, because it's a short time, because that season is hard and we need, I have to work or I have events. But they know they are a priority to me. And you put it on the clip, one of my favorite pictures. We just celebrated 6 years of TPR. We had a beautiful party here.
Great event. Looked good.
Yes. And they were all on stage. They all spoke, and it was so meaningful to me, because
I wanted to use that photo, but I wasn't going to put kids' pictures, but I loved that photo.
Yes, thank you. And I think people thought it was cute and beautiful and touching, but for me, it meant the world more than anything else, that they not only felt included, but they are proud that this is kind of like they are part of my work. It's not just my thing. So yes, it's easy to look from the outside, but not even imagining how hard. But it's definitely the strength that I draw from the Lord, because I don't have it in me, and I know I don't.
Right. And it really is, once you find that calling in your life, and or your passion. That's what this is based on. It was when God gives you the passion. And as you're talking, this is you have many more name drop possibilities. I don't have as many, but one I have was a WWE Hall of Famer, Jeff Jarrett, guest on this show. Can't believe I get to call him my friend now. And he said to me before, he doesn't believe in coincidences. He believes in convergences, and that God brings these times in your life. And even just this conversation yesterday in our Bible study, we were talking about the 10 Commandments and about coveting. And, do you covet anything it makes it your God? So you're moving up position, going for there. And the question was, what's the difference between coveting something and trying to attain a goal? And I said, does it line up with God's purpose and plan? Is the difference. And it's interesting. I want to bring this up because you've had some great successes, and one of your best. I'm going to bring this up here for the first time I've done this on the pod. Is this right here? 5 ways to align your career with your purpose, and not just by any article by anybody, but by Forbes magazine. Congratulations on that. That is a great honor to be in such a short time. But this is the crux of what this is about aligning your career, your life, more importantly, as you stated, with the purpose and the calling and the passion that God has given you. So, do you want to expound a little bit? I love the article and hit on some of your points that you put in here.
Yes. So one of the things that people often ask me, and it's a common question to be asked, is how did you know that this is your calling? Or how do you know what's your career? How do you know these things? And in the same way that I was, expanding on doing your best with what's given to you, I would say as we move forward and we live life, I truly believe that God will reveal, the steps that we are to make. And sometimes that starts with a desire in our own heart. Sometimes we question it so much that we don't even realize, wait a minute, God is the one that has planted that within me. Therefore, I will follow, right? I will follow through.
Yeah.
And so for me, that has been the very thing that I've done. I learned from a very young age that one of the reasons why I have been saved by grace is to serve the Lord and to serve others. And so in my service with others, this is something that I love. I love cooking. I mean, I love when my friends come over and they love my rice and beans, my Brazilian flan, the pudding. I just love serving.
Killing me.
And it's just a simple way, that shows the heart that I have.
Right.
Because of my expertise, then therefore I use it to serve in different ways.
Right.
So as we think about aligning our career or jobs with a purpose, I always think about these 5 things, and that's what I shared in the article. So the number 1 is to prioritize. So don't compromising in our convictions is key. The world is savage. It's getting worse all over the world.
Right.
It's always, been a hard place to be. And as God calls us to different things, He will require much of us. Last night I had life group from my church, and we sung that song that says that God calls us deeper, deeper still into His love.
Right.
And I kept thinking to myself, what does it mean? What does God require of me when He's calling me deeper? That really made me think. Because we all want a deep relationship with the Lord, but what does that entail? Like, what are the consequences? What is He asking of me? And I know that not compromising our convictions is definitely one of them. And, setting priorities and guarding those priorities wholeheartedly is super important, because nobody's going to hold our priorities for ourselves.
Right.
And if we get lost in that number 1, I mean, what are we doing? What direction? It's going to be much easier to be pulled into a million directions. Then number 2, I talk about working hard. I have had, especially young girls wanting to work with me. And I literally have had one that came one time for an interview. She had her nail filing and she was like, oh, how much an hour am I going to make? And not really willing to work. And I'm thinking, there was a time in my life when I exited this big job, and it was, just the kids and I, that I had 3 jobs. I literally had a friend that worked in IT. Her name is Christy. She would come to my house. She needed to work, I think, all night in her computer or something. And she would come to my house at 11:45. My kids were all dead asleep since 7:30. She stayed in my couch. I left and worked night shift at Target. I picked up a night shift at Target. And then I would come back home 6 in the morning. She would leave, and I woke the kids up, made breakfast, made lunch, packed lunch, sent them to school, went to my corporate job, picked up the kids. And then it was kind of like just post-COVID time, so I could have some flexibility working from home. So I picked up another job, started doing DoorDash while I was already starting my consulting firm and working full-time for the corporation. and overnight at Target. So when you are looking at me and saying I'm
Yep.
working hard and it's not, you don't have to do what I did, and I hope nobody has to do that.
Right, right. It
This
looks different for everybody.
Yes, the
Yeah.
standard of what it means to work hard. And I thank God for my mother who really instilled that in me from a young age. If you
Mhm.
have a dream and you want to make it true, it's your responsibility to go after. Yes, God's good. Yes, people are kind. Yes, maybe luck can comes your way, but it's on you, right?
Right. Which I'll share a quick story I share all the time in my church and my with my sermons and stuff. Is this I always equate it to the story of the storm. You know, if big flood comes in and there's this Christian person that says, I'm gonna goes up on the roof and says, God, give me help. And all of a sudden this trash can lid floats by, and person's pushing it and says, hop on the trash can lid. No, God's gonna get me off this. Rope comes a person in the rowboat, says, here, I got another oar. All you got to do is hop in, row with the shore. No, God's going to get me off of here. National Guard comes in, drops the thing down. All you got to do is put this on, put the harness on. I'll tell you how to. No, I don't want to do all that. God's going to get me off the roof. Person perishes, goes to heaven, looks at God and says, why didn't he help you? He said, I sent you a trash can lid, a boat, and a helicopter. What else do you want from me? You know, we have to pray and row to shore at the same time. It works. Faith without works is dead. And I love that you're saying that.
Yes, I had a youth pastor when I was 14 say that we are to work as it all depends on us and pray as it all depends on God. And that has never left me
Love
because
that.
it's 100% here and 100% there. It's not a 50-50.
Right.
And I also hear people saying, well, but this is not my dream job. And I really want to do that. So I'm kind of stuck. And I say, listen, you work really hard until your whatever it is that you're working turns into what's
Yep.
your dream. You can't just
Absolutely.
be sitting and waiting. So I think these principles of priorities and working hard are super important. Number
Absolutely.
three is give back.
Love
So
this.
getting involved in your community is not hard, especially nowadays that there's
And,
bazillions of nonprofits. And if you have a question, I'm going to pull a plug for you, Captain Mike. There's a Salvation everywhere, literally
absolutely.
everywhere in over 130 countries. It's almost in every, it is in every state in the US and almost every city over here. So, doing some good there, it will transform you more than transform whatever and whoever you're doing.
Everybody has a neighbor. Find a neighbor and do something.
Yes. Partnering with nonprofits like that will definitely expand your heart, your mission, and your business. It is a good way to also network and to get plugged in. And it really does help you hone in into your life purpose.
Absolutely.
Many times when people are so questioning and not really knowing what direction to go, once you stop paying so much attention on yourself and think about others, it's incredible how your mind just expands.
Absolutely.
And little by little, you kind of like find yourself. It's really special.
Yeah, I love that because it really and as somebody and you have given back countlessly throughout every part of the life that I've known you for, and it really is where you find out more about yourself. You might find out more about your purpose when you are serving other people. And so I love that and the three of those things go together because working with other people, helping other people really helps you get your focus and prioritize and helps you hone that into what you need. And then number 4,
Keep learning.
oh, the hardest sometimes, the hardest.
And as parents, you would know this too. Our children teach us so much. And I think I just recently wrote an article for an online magazine, and they wanted a quote from me for a bigger article that talked about some of the things that I have wished that I knew when I started my journey as a CEO. And one of the things I mentioned was, I think in the beginning, especially, I would want to take on everything. And not that I didn't say that I knew all the things, but I try to handle everything on my own. And I think for me, learning that I don't have to handle everything
Oh,
is
the
is
hardest.
such a blessing. So, the continuous journey of learning is so precious.
Yeah.
And one of the things that lead us to truly set on the fact that our mind is one of our most valuable asset. If we lose our minds, we lose everything, right? That's why we bind our minds to Christ and we ask him to rule over it, because everything flows from there. So yes, keep learning is important. And then lastly, enjoying the ride. I think
Yeah.
we're so hard, some of us, not everybody, but we're so hard on ourselves that we have goals and we set high bars and we are just so focused on that. And I'm going to add something to this. So, appreciating the small things in life, and most of our joy and hardships happen on the road to achieving our goals,
Yeah.
to the road of getting from where we are to where we want to be. But I want to add something that if I was to rewrite this article, this is what I would add it to that point number 5. I think that most importantly than uh, enjoying that journey to get to the goal is the people that are in the journey to get
Yeah.
to the goal. This is something that just recently I thought to myself, gosh, it's not just, the moments of walking from, A to B, but it's everyone that comes around and surround us in that process. People are so important. We are not human beings that are made to be in solitude. None of us are built and wired that way, even for the most shy and introverted ones. God has created us for community. And so valuing those who are walking the journey, and it's kind of like that trade-off of, as I walk, I'm planting seeds. As you're walking your journey, you're planting seeds. If we meet in the middle and I liked your business or your friendship or whatever, level of relationship that is. If I like it, I take some of your seeds, you take some of my seeds. And as we're planting our own seeds, little do we know that we're planting each other's
Yeah.
seeds on the way. And it's such a beautiful metaphor, because it's this whole sense of not living in solitude, truly living in community, and not just thinking about the growth of your own, but the growth of those around you.
Right.
And I think there's no better celebration than to achieve something that we conquered together.
Right.
A team.
Absolutely.
It's with the people that are around you. It's so special.
And that's just a really great point, because it really, again, I love that all 5 of your stuff flow together. Like they're not separate. They're almost the hand of your purpose. They all kind of flow into one thing. And having that sense with others, you appreciate what's happening to you more based on the reactions in others and what you learn from others. And your own kids, you see it when you're happy, they're happy, and you get more happy because they're happy, and you understand that more. I would highly recommend anybody to check out this article here on Forbes that Thais wrote, and it will be it's very wonderfully written, very informative. Please go check that out. And it does bring me to one of my favorite questions I got to ask you too. We just got 2 more before I let you go. And that is with this thought of enjoying the ride. I think in everyone's journey to their passion and their purpose, they have a moment where they just go, I can't believe I get to do this. I can't believe that I'm here. What was that moment for you? What was that light switch of, I can't believe I get to do this?
Oh, you should have asked me that ahead of time so I could.
Ah,
But there
I
are
love surprising on these 2.
Thank you. But I think there are a few moments. Um, I think, I worked with Ann Byler. She was the founder and CEO of Auntie Anne's Pretzels.
While I was living in Lancaster, you were doing that. I
Yes,
was like,
yes.
yeah.
And she's one of the most incredible women that I've ever met.
Mhm.
And I went to accompany her at a Life Surge event in Cincinnati, Ohio. And when I was there and I saw her speaking her message on stage, I met Priscilla Shire. I met all of these, amazing people that I have admired for so long. But when I saw her on that stage, thousands of people weeping with her story, I thought to myself, I can't believe I get to do this.
Right.
That was very impactful to me. Um, I also, the first time that I flew first class, I remember I went from Los Angeles to, I don't remember if it was to Miami or New York. It might have been Miami. But I remember sitting there, I almost cried because
Yeah.
I thought, I can't believe that my work actually brought me here. And that was a very proud moment. I also recently got an award in Orlando, and I took my children, and that was a gift to take them in. Well, I took them there, but then we got as a gift from one of our clients to take them to the Disney resort and have them enjoy a day at Disney. That was, to get to share this with the kids, and it was so
Yeah.
special. And I think the last one, I mean, there are many moments, but I
Oh,
think
absolutely.
the last one was probably when I went to the most recent UFC in Las Vegas. When I
Yeah.
walked in, I thought to myself, I can't believe that I get to do this. Um, it is, I love what I do. I have always loved what I did. And I think that the satisfaction, the contentment of knowing that I am just like I was at every step to get here,
Yeah.
exactly where I was supposed to be,
Right.
makes the whole difference for me. And I really truly mean that. I'm not just saying because it sounds beautiful.
Yeah.
I have always been content where I was, trying to do my best, excited for the adventure of, I can't wait to see what God has next, but not looking over there trying to imagine what was next,
Right.
trying to live in the moment. When I was younger, like maybe 9 years old, I remember always wanting the next thing. And my mom sat with me and she taught me a life lesson that I'm so grateful for, because maybe I would be different now. She said, Thais, you're always thinking, when is the next vacation? What is the next place that we're going to move and live? What is the next thing and the next thing that you're not truly living and enjoying what it is happening to your life right now? And what happens is there's no truly, complete fulfillment and joy, because
Right.
there's this void of, but what's next? As if it would be more special, important than what you're
What
living
you're
right
doing
now.
now.
And then life goes,
Mhm.
and then you miss what's right in front of you.
Yeah.
And it took me a little bit to learn that lesson, but I learned young. And, with the phases of my children, I have loved everyone. And people go, oh, wait until you have teenagers. I'm loving my teenagers. We have so much, it's better than ever. And before
Right.
I thought the same thing. And I'm not oblivious to difficulty, or, life is hard. I do cry, not all the time, but, I let myself be seen vulnerable by the kids. It's okay. But it's just the fulfillment of knowing that God is with me. He has put me here. I am exactly where I'm supposed to be. The lessons, the valleys, the mountains, this is all part of it. I don't regret any of my decisions. I have learned from all of them,
Yep.
and I take them all as, if it wasn't for all of it, I would not be here today. And for this, I am so deeply grateful to God.
Yeah. And you said, with your article is people ask you, how do I know what to do? How do I know what to be? And my answer that I always give and have for 20 years, God put it on my heart, is if you can't see yourself doing anything else, that's where you're supposed to be. Like and that's how I feel as an officer. Like I can't imagine my life other places. I've tried. Actively tried to do that for a very long time, and I think knowing also with a part of that is every place that you are now is a step in that journey.
Mhm.
Is an, as the Bible says, an Ebenezer. A moment to remember. I am so thankful for the time you have. I got to give you the last question I give everybody. It's the last surprise, I promise. All right. And but I ask all of my guests, what would you say to 12-year-old Thais right now?
What I would say to 12-year-old Thais, oh, buckle up, because God has
Yeah,
so much for you.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And he has used you in a mighty way, and he's continuing to use you. I'm so just happy for your success and for everything that you've done. Please follow TPR Agency. It's TPR on your thing. I realized at the beginning it said TPT, not TPT. TPR. Follow all of their socials there. Thais, uh, their website. She is just doing amazing things. Has a great team. Looks like so much fun. And I think just if you have a passion in any of this storytelling for others, as I tend to do, watch from afar. You learn everywhere and you learn from so much. Thais, is there anything that you want to plug or let people know before we step out of here?
I'll just thank you for having me. I appreciate your invitation. And I see the little frame behind you. That's very sweet. Thank
I had to go luxury with you. You are,
you.
I knew it. So
Thank
it's this that's as close as I'm going to get to the LVs. That's for sure. So, well, so thank you guys for tuning in for another get to know. Check out that previous episodes. We have guests that have done so much in so many different fields, and the whole reason we put in here is to let you know that God has given you a passion. He has a plan for you, and it's a plan for hope. And if you follow and do the work, go to Forbes, follow those five. God will lead you on the way. So tune in next time to another get to know. Thank you, Thais, and stay close to Jesus, everybody.